All
And
right.
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a new podcast called the Morphinominal Hockey Show. I am Michael Lindenbaum. I am your host. And the way this show works is that we have a Power Rangers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles actor who happens to be a big-time hockey fan talking hockey. This is a podcast that came up out of Power Morphicon this past summer, where a couple Power Rangers and a Turtles actor was like, hey, let's talk hockey. We always like to talk hockey. We want to do a panel in 2026, so let's do this. So joining me for this debut episode of the More Phenomenal Hockey Show, we have the man who played Shredder in Michael Bay's 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Tohoru Masamune. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. It's my first. This is my first ever sports podcast. When I just thought, I feel like I can, cross that one off the bucket list there. It's pretty cool. We do it all the time, right? We just talk about stuff, so why not do it on a podcast, right? So,
and one of the interesting things, and people are going to learn this, is that, when we're at conventions and we're doing like the shows, and if anyone had watched the interview that I did with you at Power Morphicon, we talk a little bit about your time doing TMNT and, not coming back for the sequel and stuff like that. But we spent most of the time talking hockey.
Yeah. It's what we really want to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. And but it also comes down to the thing of, you guys are humans just like us. You have other interests just like us. And it's just fun to be able to sit down and actually get to talk about the things that interest you.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the biggest reasons why this podcast is here, to allow you, those Ranger actors, and maybe other Turtles actors who love hockey, an opportunity to talk about something that they love.
Yep.
So with that said, you, sir, are an Edmonton Oilers fan. Why don't you give the people a little bit of a history about yourself, how you became an Oilers fan, and then we'll actually start doing like a little preview of the Edmonton Oilers.
Sure. I'd love that. I just pride myself in being the worst hockey player I know, because this is my pedigree. As parents came here from Japan, and I was born in Madison, Wisconsin. Just a few years there. They, don't remember a whole lot about it. And then, my dad is a research professor. You just can't chase tenure, right? So you end up all over the place. So next job for him was in Pittsburgh. So we spent a few years there as a Carnegie Mellon, and then he gets a great offer up in Edmonton. And that started first grade for me, I guess, in grade 1, as we say in Canada, and up through grade 12. And so those were my real formative years, and and they were good years for Edmonton too. So, and just in general. So it was kind of, and I don't know, how it is. It's probably like this on the East Coast as well for you, Mike. You certain towns, you hockey's a different deal, right? I mean, you kind of live and breathe it. So it's kind of that's kind of how I grew up, and I just loved it. I didn't know anything. I wasn't watching basketball or anything. It's just hockey, right? And then we moved to Boston after that.
So you just go from hockey town to hockey town to
hockey town, and actually we lived right next to Boston College. So it just couldn't, So anyway, and then decided to ended up in LA, and of course LA wins a cup. So it just keeps following me around. This hockey thing, it just keeps following me around. So so that's it's one of those things, and it's nice. I've been an Oilers fans, for quite some time, but it's been, as you know, it's been kind of painful for the last little while. And just being a Canadian hockey team fan has been kind of painful. And, and I saw McDavid in the early years when Edmonton was terrible, but he was phenomenal. So I got to, see that, and that was exciting, but it was just, it was rough, it was rough. So this year it's different, right?
Yeah.
This year's different. So anyway, but that was sort of my background, how I ended up an Oilers fan. So it was a little more dormant, but now it's just full on excitement because it is the team's on a mission right now for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of that, last season Oilers, they go 49-27-6. And they are the current Western Conference champions. So they're going into this season. They fell short in Game 7 against the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final. So that this team is going to be hungry this season after being just that close to being to the Cup.
Like maybe a shot, right? Technically, it's a shot, right? That thing.
Yeah. So, but there's some rollover with your team, though. Out is forwards Ryan Fogle, Ryan McLeod, Sam Carrick, Sam Gagne, as well as defenseman Vincent Desharnais and goaltender Jack Campbell, who we will talk about Campbell in a little moment later, because he was actually in the news and the hockey news today about player assistance program for him, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you now have Jeff Skinner on offense, Victor Arvidsson, who you got from LA. Skinner was obviously bought out by Buffalo. You picked up Matthew Savoy via trade from the Buffalo Sabres. That's a very promising prospect right there. And then you picked up some depth defensemen in Josh Brown and Connor Carrick. However, one thing that the team is going to have to deal with is the loss of Evander Kane, who is out due to injury right now. So when you look at some of these changes that took place, but you still see that your core is still there, and especially the fact that it should also be brought up that Ken Holland stepped down as general manager, and Stan Bowman, who was just recently reinstated after the Chicago Blackhawks sexual abuse scandal that took place, is now the general manager there in Edmonton. And you also lost Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg.
Philip Broberg,
to St. Louis via the offer sheets.
That's right.
So you lost those two guys. How are you looking at your team now with these losses, but also with some of the gains that you've gotten for this season?
Well, I think, as you're saying, the main thing is the core is there. I mean, I think the signing of Draisaitl was great because that's all tied with McDavid too, right? I mean, that's all.
Yeah, because he signed an 8-year deal, and McDavid, I believe, is in the last year of his deal, so all eyes are now on McDavid in that.
Yeah, and I'm sure there were many conversations before Draisaitl, signed on the dotted line. It's sort of like, dude, are you sticking around? That kind of thing. I'm sure there had to be. So to me, I don't know. You never know what's going on within people's lives, but to me, it sort of looks good. So there's a solid core there, and I feel like it's. I mean, I've been watching the preseason. I feel like it's the same team. Like, I don't feel. In fact, they're looking good. I don't know. I've been watching the preseason. They haven't been winning all the games, but I'm just watching their power play and just the way they move around. And I think Arvidsson's fantastic. I mean, I think he's working really well. I think I'm really excited now too, because now you got some two scary first two lines, right? I mean, I wouldn't really want to be on the other team, saying, oh, okay, well, McDavid's line's done now. We'll take Draisaitl and Arvidsson. Those are tough lines to face. And so I think they look good, and I definitely like Arvidsson. I think is a fantastic addition. The Broberg, the young guys, losing those guys. Maybe in the future it would have been nice to have them around, but they replaced them. I don't know how these other ones. There's that Emberson. There are a few other people that are there. So it's a bit of as always the off season is, right? There are definitely losses. But I look down when I'm watching the preseason. I don't feel like, oh man, this team fell apart. And I know, this it's nice, right? You see, especially when I watch the power play and they bring everybody on. It's just like, you just like seeing some old friends out there, and they're just like, I don't know why they look almost in more communicado than they were last season. I mean, I just think they're not always scoring. They're missing the net. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, that's preseason for you.
Yeah, there's a preseason, but man, they're moving it around, and it's just it's fun to watch. So I and you're talking about the motivation. I keep thinking, I keep a couple of guys on there, right? Skinner, I mean, Jeff Skinner, Corey Perry. I mean, these guys, they've got to really. I mean, there are a lot of people that, and not to mention Connor McDavid, right? And all that, and Draisaitl made a commitment. Everybody is so hungry right now. I mean, it's not like I don't know, and I feel it. Like even in the games that they've lost in the preseason, they look hungry, like they really want it. And so I don't know, man, but sports is funny, right?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Jeff Skinner in his entire career has never played in the playoffs.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like he's that one guy who's just been around for so long. It's kind of like Kyle Okposo.
Yeah,
he I think Okposo had played in the playoffs. I think maybe with the Islanders early on, but he never did with Buffalo. And then he gets his one shot at the cup. He got it, and now he's rode off into the sunset.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like, could that be the case for Skinner this season? Because I know obviously Buffalo bought him out for a reason also. So you also have to kind of look at that and go, what Jeff Skinner are we going to get with the Oilers? Are we going to get the guy who only really cares about scoring goals and not back checking and playing the other side of the game? Or are we going to get somebody who's going to buy in and be a real contributor to the team, not just on the score sheet, but also in our own zone when we need it, type of deal?
Well, I feel like, and that's always a question mark. I'm not super familiar with him as his personality or any of that really. And you never know what you're going to get. I've seen little moments during the preseason, but I don't know who you're going to get, but there is, I think the culture right now in Edmonton, the locker room is very good. That's sort of my feeling. Yeah. And the culture there is, let's win. And you even think about Connor McDavid, who said, what, I think he made some excuses. He's never going to shoot again. And he decided to say, look, I got my whatever, 62 goals, blah, blah. I don't need that anymore. I want a cup. And he figured out how to do it, with his assists, and all that. And saying, so people are making the sacrifice, especially I feel like anytime you have a team and the people at the top are making sacrifices, it's going to trickle down. And I don't get the sense. I don't really get the sense. I'm obviously not in the locker rooms, but I don't get the sense that people I think they really want to win the cup and they're not in it for themselves, and they figure out how to win. So I don't know, but I don't know anything about Skinner, what he's like. So, but you're right. It's a bit of a question mark, but
and one question I have to ask you is: have you seen the clips or have you watched the behind the scenes series on Amazon Prime?
No, that's
with the because there have been clips coming out, and I think a month ago we saw a clip of McDavid. Just kind of, and then it had been apparently yesterday. And for those wondering, we're recording this on Friday, October 4th. Yesterday, we ended up seeing a more extended clip.
Oh, of that same
thing. But one of the interesting things is you can see one of the trainers taking the curtain and covering up the guys in the locker room, because it's like so much for all access, eh? It's like,
what was that? What was that? It's like, this is not good enough.
Yeah,
this
it's like this
final.
This is the effing final. We need to dig the F in and
dig in now.
Yeah, it's like because they had just lost, I believe, Game 5.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I think it was the after Game 5, and they were getting ready to head back to Edmonton for Game 6.
Yeah.
So
So, and I think it's interesting too. I think they're one of the oldest teams right now, I believe.
I'm
I don't
not
know who,
100% sure. I don't have the
but they're up
average
there.
ages.
They're certainly not a team of youngsters. I mean, there are young guys on there, but I believe it's one of the older ones. And I always kind of feel like anytime that happens, the teams decide we're just going to win the cup now. Let's not worry about the future. It's just, and I think, maybe even like Broberg, those people just saying, you know what, we need a cup right now. This is what we need right now. And sort of like, so everything about it says, there's a window, and I don't think that it's a one. I think everybody's aware. I'm sure Connor McDavid's very aware. There's a window, but it's that's probably why he's so impassioned, because he's running out of time and he must know it. And I'm sure that, I don't know, we all have that, right? Where we sort of think we deserve better or something. I don't know. We all have those moments like, why am I allowing this to happen or whatever? And he's always been, about team. I think he's an amazing captain. But that's got to piss him off, right? If people aren't saying, if you guys, you guys are not doing everything to help us win a cup right now, that's a problem, So I kind of feel like, the nice thing is it's come from the top, and we all know that's how teams work, right? It all comes from the top. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, hockey's so competitive now. I mean, I go and I'm thinking, I'm seeing they're getting spanked by the Kraken in the preseason. I know it's a preseason, but I'm thinking, ooh, I mean,
you also have to look at preseason, like how many of the actual veterans are in that lineup too, because you also really do use the preseason to look at guys who are younger, seeing what they need to work on. So we send them back to juniors or back to the AHL. You tell them, hey, this is what we need you to work on. Or even guys who are just on that cusp of making the roster and who are fighting for that roster spot.
Yep.
You really want to see what those guys can do. So you don't really see the veterans, especially with what's been going on the last couple of weeks in the preseason with like Patrick Laine and some of the other players that have gotten, like big name players who have been injured in the preseason. So now, of course, like people like Pierre LeBrun are going on about like, oh, we need to shorten the preseason or we need to get rid of it. And it's like, calm down, Pierre. Most of the superstar players don't play that often. Like, I think Alex Ovechkin has only played like one game so far this preseason.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I know he's going to play tomorrow night because that's okay. Because that's the last preseason game for the Capitals, and so you're going to pretty much see the lineup in the last preseason game.
I've always wondered about that, to the motivation behind that, because I don't know how good you are. Wouldn't you want to practice before the season starts? I never understood that concept of like.
Well, I
know it's not up to them necessarily, but
part of it is that you want to save them for the regular season, because I mean, let's be honest, an 82 game schedule is very long and grueling, and it's not like the NBA where you just start giving guys nights off just for the sake of giving them nights off and stuff like that, or you have a playoff spot locked up already, and we're just going to rest guys because so it's like very different dynamic. It's a grind.
It is
the NHL. But yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how the Oilers do. I have the Hockey News yearbook right here in front of me.
Yeah.
And it's predicting the Oilers to be first in the Pacific with cup odds of 11-1.
Oh, really?
Yes. I think. Let me just
say every time I hear those, I always get nervous though, because I just know the way reality works, and it's like, God, there's almost.
Although hilariously, the Hockey News is predicting the Dallas Stars to beat the New Jersey Devils for the Stanley Cup. Yeah.
Oh, is that what they're saying? Okay.
Yeah, that's what the Hockey News is saying, and it's like, I don't know.
Dallas. Wow, really?
Yeah, they
Jersey Devils. Wow.
Yeah, Dallas over They're picking Dallas over what's it called? Yeah, they have Dallas being first in the Central with cup odds of 8-1. And then as I go over to the Devils, who actually played their first game today, which we'll
Yes.
talk
Yeah.
about in a moment against the Sabres in Prague, Czechia. They have the Devils as first in the Metro, cup odds at 10-1. And just for the giggles,
Wow.
let me hop over to my Washington Capitals.
Of course. Yes.
Which I actually have a place marker for me. They have the Caps fifth in the Metro with cup odds of 40-1.
Okay.
And let's see here. Where do they have them? I have to go to another page just to see. Oh no, I went too far. I don't care about Vince Dunn. They have the Capitals not making the playoffs because the hockey news. This tells you how flawed the hockey news is. So
Not making the playoffs, really?
Yeah, hockey news. I'm going to go by division. Has in the Atlantic Division, Panthers number 1, Maple Leafs number 2, Lightning number 3, Boston number 4, and getting one of the wild card spots.
Okay.
Buffalo is 5, Detroit is 6, Ottawa 7, Montreal 8.
Okay.
For the Metropolitan Division, they have the Devils at number 1, the Rangers at number 2, the Hurricanes at number 3, the Islanders at number 4 taking the other wild card spot, which is laughable because their roster is putrid.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason they win games is because they play Lamoriello's system, and that's about it. And they do the clutch and grab stuff that you're not supposed to do anymore. But Lou probably has something on Bettman on that one.
Yeah.
Take that one to the bank. The Capitals at 5, the Penguins at 6, the Flyers at 7, and the Blue Jackets at 8. In the West, in the Central Division, you have Dallas at 1, Colorado at 2, Nashville at 3, Winnipeg at 4, getting a wild card spot.
Okay.
This is an interesting one for hockey news. Utah Hockey Club, the former Arizona Coyotes.
Right.
Technically, they're not formally the Arizona Coyotes because Utah is considered an expansion franchise, and the Coyotes got put in hiatus. But
really?
Yes, that
They're
is
the same guys, though, right? It's
yeah. So what it was is when they did the whole thing, the NHL bought the team from Morello.
Okay.
But Morello kept all the branding rights and stuff like that because they also gave him 5 years to get an arena built and to bring back the team. To bring back the team as an expansion franchise.
Okay.
To reactivate the team. That's
which team are you talking about? You're talking
Coyotes. The Coyotes. Arizona. Okay. Then, after that was done, and this was all done in like one day, it was talked out over a series of weeks and stuff. Then Ryan Smith, the owner of the Utah Jazz of the NBA,
oh, wow. Okay.
He paid the expansion fee to the NHL of $1.2 billion because the NHL gave $1 billion to Morello.
Okay.
And then Smith paid $1.2 billion for the expansion rights for Utah to join the league. And as part of the sale, they got all of the players in the Coyotes organization, the front office staff, the coaching staff, draft picks, all that stuff. But the interesting thing is that the Coyotes lineage does not go to Utah because that stayed with Morello, which he had 5 years to bring the team back with. But a few months later, Morello gave up the rights to the Coyotes because he's not going to ever be able to get an arena built in Arizona because he's not good, which is probably for the better for hockey anyways. Yeah. And for Morello, or when you ask about the lineage, so the history of the Coyotes, that like the retired number of Shane Doan, and stuff like that does not go to Utah. That stays in Arizona. And now there's actually a conversation of if this is going to happen this way, does the original Winnipeg Jets lineage from when they moved in 96, I believe it was, from Winnipeg to Arizona, does the original Winnipeg Jets lineage go back to the current Winnipeg Jets, and they can then tap into
Oh, wow.
that history because the Coyotes always held on to that, just like the way the Dallas Stars hold on to the Minnesota North Stars lineage, and the Carolina Hurricanes hold on to the Hartford Whalers lineage, and the Colorado Avalanche hold on to the Quebec Nordiques lineage.
Okay.
So
Wow, that's wild.
But anyways, but when that whole thing happened back in April, that's why you have all these guys. But the thing is that there's no ties to the Coyotes outside of going, well, these guys played in Arizona last year, but Utah is a completely different team.
Yeah, I was wondering why it wasn't
its own thing. Yeah,
I was wondering why it wasn't some version of like Utah Coyotes, or when you get that kind of weird, like, oh, that was weird, that why are they called the Coyotes? And years from now kids will say, why are they called the Coyotes? And is it because of this? But
but they don't have a name right now. It's just Utah Hockey.
Now is that a generic? Is that a placeholder? Is that going to be the name?
Yes, it's a placeholder.
Okay, because I thought they were living out some Premier League fantasy, like where the Utah.
No. They're using it as a placeholder for now, but it is one of the names that is up for voting right now. Some of the names that are up there is Yeti, Outlaws, Blizzard, obviously Utah Hockey Club. So there's a couple names, and I wouldn't be surprised if we got to either the midway point of the season or when we get towards the playoffs, they will announce what the official team name is, what the logo is going to look like, what the new jerseys are going to look like. I think we're going to get that either mid-season or during the playoffs. I think that's when we're going to get. It'll
be kind of funny if everybody gets so used to the hockey club, they said, I like it, because it is unique. It's a unique name for sure.
Yeah. But then the rest of the Central goes 6 Minnesota, 7 St. Louis, 8 Chicago. But the interesting thing is they have Utah with the second wild card spot. And then in the Pacific Division, they have the Oilers at number 1, the Golden Knights at number 2, the Canucks at number 3.
Really? Golden Knights above Canucks. Really?
And then Los Angeles at 4, Seattle at 5, Calgary at 6, Anaheim at 7, and San Jose at 8. Which sounds about right for San Jose, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do so. But I would not be surprised if San Jose surprises some people because they got Macklin Celebrini coming in, Will Smith is coming in. No, not the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but the hockey player himself.
Have you watched Celebrini? Has he played?
He actually got hurt in the preseason.
He's
one of the guys who got hurt, and I just drafted him yesterday in fantasy hockey. But yeah, so when you look at it that way, it's so and then they picked up Tyler Toffoli. They picked up some veteran guys to really build up the team, kind of like the way Chicago is with Connor Bedard. So it's very interesting to see how everything is going in that regards. Alrighty, so with that, we've talked about the Edmonton Oilers. We kind of trailed off and started talking about how Utah became a thing. But now it's time to talk about my team.
There you go.
Washington. See, I let you go first. Turo.
I appreciate your shares and all that kind of stuff.
But being how I'm based in the DC metro area, and this is where a lot of the sharing gets done, got to talk about the Capitals.
Absolutely. I'd actually love to talk about Capitals.
And so I'm actually working off my team preview that I wrote for my website, TXHThockey.com, which you can find this podcast at as well. And up on YouTube, which later on I'll do the thanks and plugs and all that other fun stuff. So last season, the Washington Capitals were 40-31-11 for 91 points, and they snuck their way into the playoffs only to be knocked out, swept in the first round by the New York Rangers. I know my buddy Russell had a fun time with that one with me. Some of our key losses is goaltender Darcy Kemper, forward Beck Malenstein, defenseman Nick Jensen, forward Max Pacioretty, as well as Nicholas Aube-Kubel. And I put him on this list because it's relevant, but obviously forwards TJ Oshie and Nicholas Backstrom both on the long-term IR for the Washington Capitals. Obviously, Backstrom played the first month of last season, and then on November 1st said, I'm stepping away from the game, and this is the last year of his contract. And obviously, it's been well documented with TJoshi that he's been having his back issues, and he pretty much is going to get put on long-term IR for what is going to be the last year of his contract as well with the Washington Capitals. So obviously, those are two huge losses for the Capitals because those are locker room leaders, heart and soul type of guys in that locker room for the Caps. The additions are Pierre-Luc Dubois, who we acquired from Los Angeles for Darcy Kemper, Andrew Mangiapane, Logan Thompson, which that was an interesting one when we traded for him because we got him from the Vegas Golden Knights during the draft, which was held in Vegas, and it happened 30 minutes before he went to go do an autograph signing with fans.
Nice.
That really happened. He still showed up to do the autograph signing after he was traded to the Washington Capitals. So, so it was the most awkward.
Autographs will be collector's items.
Yeah, so it was very awkward. Obviously, defenseman Jacob Chikrin from Ottawa, who we acquired in place of Nick Jensen. Matt Roy on defense, Brandon Duhaime, and Taylor Radish, both forwards. Yeah. Obviously, for the Capitals, they overturned a third of their roster going into this season. Like, unlike like what we just talked about with Edmonton, where it's like little pieces here and there, you know, the Capitals did an overhaul. And when I release this note, I will have some stuff on here about like Ethan Bear. I know he got put on waivers today. I am super nervous and I hope he does not get claimed. Obviously, Bear was the defenseman that the Capitals put on waivers today because what a lot of people don't understand is while Nicholas Backstrom is on long-term IR already and is not going to count against the cap and does not need to be listed on the opening day rosters come Monday, TJ Oshie needs to be on the roster before they can announce him for long-term IR and open up the cap space. Because what it is that because Backstrom ended the season on long-term IR, and he's starting the season that way too, they don't have to do anything because they've already had the medical proof that Backstrom is not going to be playing. Whereas with TJ Oshie, because he did play in the playoffs, and then they announced on the first day of training camp that he failed his medical and that he is not going to be playing, you know, he has to be put on the roster. And then once the rosters have been approved, they can then place him on long-term IR, and then that will open up the cap space for the Capitals. So that is why Ethan Bear was put on waivers today. Fingers crossed that he clears waivers and that the Caps send him down to Hershey because I want him to remain a Washington Capital. Yep. Because I've been following that man's journey since he was with Edmonton as a rookie. And especially the fact that, you know, he just got out of the player assistance program at the end of last season. He's, he's been very open about the anxiety and depression that he was dealing with that caused him to go into it. You know, I really want the best for this guy.
Yep.
So obviously, and I want it to be with the Washington Capitals. You can't blame me for that one.
Of course.
So, you know, so looking at this roster, you know, we have like all this turnover. So like the big question is, you know, is Pierre-Luc Dubois going to be that first line center that people think he can be? You know, with Alex Ovechkin and maybe even Tom Wilson. We know in the preseason, Dubois and Wilson have actually meshed really well with Connor McMichael on the wing. So, you know, so there's a lot of questions about that. You know, obviously Brandon Duhaime and Taylor Radish replaced Beck Malenstein, and even one could say Nicholas Aube-Kubel, and one can even say Michael Scarbosa, who was also put on waivers today for the Capitals with the purpose of sending to Hershey of the AHL. You know, kind of creates that new fourth line with Nick Dowd down the middle. Right. So, and then you got Andrew Mangiapane, who I've always loved him with Calgary. I've always loved watching Mangiapane play. So I'm actually really excited that we got him. With the Caps. And then obviously on defense, you got Jacob Chikrin and Matt Roy. So it's going to be interesting how this really plays out for the Caps, you know, and then obviously Logan Thompson is playing 1B to Charlie Lindgren, who took over the starting position last season. So it'll be interesting to see how much that chemistry they can build it as quickly as they can going into the season.
I'm curious. As a Caps fan, I are you the least bit nervous about Dubois or?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm just thinking. I mean, it's that weird thing. The talent's clearly there, but it's just you know what they always say is that the best predictor of anything is what has preceded it. You know what I mean? I mean and I'm just wondering. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. No. I mean, here's the interesting thing about the whole Dubois Kemper trade. The
yeah,
Dubois Kemper trade has been talked about since January
right,
by Hockey Night in Canada's Elliot Friedman. Elliot Friedman on Hockey Night in Canada since January has been saying, and even in his 32 Thoughts blog posts, and even occasionally on the 32 Thoughts podcast, he has been constantly saying, I see a Darcy Kemper for Pierre-Luc Dubois trade straight up. And he's been saying that since January, and then it happened
yeah,
this summer. It happened right around the draft, right before free agency.
yeah,
And he was right. I mean, and it does make you nervous because this is now his fourth team in 4 years. Started with Columbus, then went to Winnipeg, then did the sign-in trade to Los Angeles. And, credit goes to Rob Blake. He says, hey, it just didn't work out. General manager of the Kings. He said, hey, it just didn't work out. We didn't make it work for him. Yeah. And then even Dubois has come out and says, like, you know what? I tried my best and it just didn't work. And Matt Roy, we signed from the LA Kings.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously one of the things that Matt Roy said when he was doing his introductory press conference with the media for the Caps was somebody asked him, it's like, what are your thoughts on Dubois? And he says, if I didn't like the guy, I wouldn't have signed with the Capitals now, would I?
Right.
So that tells you that Dubois is a well-liked guy in the locker room, and he's a good teammate. It's just some places it just doesn't work. Maybe with Ovi, it sparks them.
And you never know. I mean, people do just end up in the right place, and maybe the Washington is a place, and you just need to find that home. I don't know, but it is. If I was a Caps fan, I'd be.
A lot of us are nervous about Dubois, and we have the right to be nervous about Dubois. And I write about it in my preview, which is coming out on this upcoming Friday, the 11th, on TXHThockey.com. So I can't give away all my stuff. I can't give away all my talking points.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, though, is that, like, I mean, but look at, like, say, the 2018 Cup team that the Capitals had.
Right.
You had Devontae Smith-Pelly, who playoff performer, fourth line guy, but he put up 7 goals in the playoffs and big pivotal goals at that too.
Right.
And then look at Brett Connolly, who was a very, a guy who bounced around a bit, was, I think, a 3rd overall pick. And he comes to Washington and he becomes an essential cog to the Caps winning the Cup. And so you look at some of these guys like Sonny Milano, Dylan Strome, they've had resurgences here in Washington, because with Strome, Chicago just didn't even qualify him. And they let the guy walk, and everyone's like, what's going on here? Why would they just let this guy walk? This is I think another 3rd overall pick.
Yeah.
In a draft. And so he comes to Washington on a 1-year prove it deal, and he proved what he really is. And then same thing with Sonny Milano. Fun fact about Sonny Milano. 2 seasons ago, he went into Calgary Flames training camp on a PTO, did not get signed. And then he signed with the Washington Capitals.
Okay.
And then, he had his rise up. I mean, granted, last season he was banged up a bit. So you kind of hope with Dubois that he has that. And if from the little that we've seen of him with Tom Wilson and Connor McMichael as his line mates, and even the the times that he's going to be on the ice with Ovechkin, we know Ovechkin's going to light a fire under him because he's not going to accept, less kind of like with Connor McDavid on the Oilers, Wilson, who's now going to be a permanent alternate captain on the team this season,
Right.
he's going to put that accountability on Dubois as well. John Carlson, also part of the leadership group on the team, is going to bring that accountability to Dubois. And I think that's going to be a major thing. And not only that, but you have to bring up the fact of Spencer Carberry, the coach of the Washington Capitals. Look what he did to Anthony Mantha last season.
Yeah.
Everybody was down on Mantha, like, trade this guy. The guy had no trade value. You couldn't even buying him out wasn't an option because you try not to do that too much. And Carberry comes in his first season. This is a sophomore coach now. This season. This is Carberry's second ever season coaching in the NHL. And he came in and he turned Anthony Mantha around to the point where the Capitals could trade him to Vegas for a third-round pick. And now he's with Calgary on a 1-year prove-it deal. So, sometimes that's where it also lies. It's the coach that's there that can unlock that potential within the player.
I agree.
And so we're hoping that, Carberry can do the same thing to Mantha or to Dubois that he did for Mantha.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, fortunately the talent's there and that you can't, we have no, one has no control of that, but the talent's there and, maybe you can make it work, but it's strange. People's minds are bizarre, and he could have a bad rap too. You never know. I mean, you never know what people say about people and the way they actually are. Very often, very, very different. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. What do you think of the whole OV watch? Is it going to hit? Is it going to happen this year?
So excited for it. So I'm great. I'm glad that you asked that because this is my first season ever as a season ticket holder.
Oh my God.
Now I've always had partial plan where I go to maybe like 5 to 10 games a season. But this season is my first time being full season, 41 games, plus the preseason, which I haven't gone to a single preseason game yet. Because I want my first game as a season ticket holder to be the home opener. You don't want it to be a preseason throwaway game.
I'm with you. Yeah, I understand.
But and there's 2 reasons why I did it this season. And I'm going to do it at least the next 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Ovi's in the last 2 years of his contract.
Okay.
So number one reason is that this season is the Washington Capitals' 50th anniversary. And oh my God, all the retro nostalgia. Oh, I'm going to love it. Because I'm a nerd for like retro stuff. Yep. And then, I'm literally just announced on my birthday on Tuesday, So Close, the story of the 1997-98 Washington Capitals, a docuseries that will be coming up on my website, TXHT, hockey.com.
Nice.
Can't say it enough. First chapter drops on Monday, October 7th.
Calendar.
Sorry for the 20-minute read. But I'm excited because it's like that's the type of stuff I love, and I love the old Blue Eagle. Obviously, this season the alternate jerseys, the reverse retro from the other season, the Black Screaming Eagle. Love the jersey. I'm happy it's back. I would have preferred it in blue with the bronze replaced in gold, but that's just me.
Okay.
But that's the first reason because it is the 50th anniversary and I'm super into the nostalgia and all that. I'm a history buff, in a way, a history nerd. The second reason is because of Ovechkin, and he's 42 goals away from breaking the record. He's 47 goals away from becoming the first 900 goal scorer, and this is the thing that nobody's talking about.
Okay.
Nobody is talking about 900. They're talking strictly about Gretzky. And the fact is that I think this year Ovi's going to want to get it done. And with the changes that the team has done, bringing in Dubois, bringing in Mangiapane, bringing in Chychrun, bringing in some more offensive weapons to take onus off of Ovechkin to be the guy, because one of the interesting things that a lot of people don't know is that coming back from the All-Star break, Ovi's scored at I believe at a 52 goal pace for the second half of the season. If that was the beginning of the season, he would have scored around 52 goals.
Okay.
And as long as we're getting that Ovechkin from the start of this season and he maintains that consistency, I mean, yeah, there's going to be ebbs and flows throughout the season, but he maintains that consistency. I can see him getting it this season, but I'm also hoping and wanting to see Ovechkin hit 50 goals this season so he can break 2 records in one season. The first one would be the 42 goals would break Gretzky's goal record. The 47 would, technically speaking, every goal that Ovi would score after 895 would be a record-setting goal.
Of course, yeah.
So even if he hits 900, he'll be the first one to hit 900, which is a milestone, but it wouldn't be the record one. The second record is actually most 50-goal seasons in a career. In a career. Because he's currently tied, I believe he's currently tied with 12?
Okay.
Or 13? I do. So anyone in the comments, feel free to throw the actual number, but I do know for a fact.
Who's also in that?
I believe it is Gretzky. I think he's tied with Gretzky.
Gretzky's most 50 goals. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so as I just do it real quick right here.
That's gonna be such an exciting. I mean, especially as you get close. I mean, how exciting! I'm so glad you have season tickets because then you can just say next game. Like you can just keep going to the games and you don't have to.
All right. So according to records.nhl.com, most 50-goal seasons career is Gretzky, Mike Bossy, and Ovechkin. Each have 9. They each have 9 50-goal seasons.
Nice.
So if Ovechkin scores 50 this season, which is what I'm hoping for, he would get his 10th and he would take sole first place of most 50-goal seasons. Ovi, hilariously, has the most 40-goal seasons and the most 30-goal seasons. And is tied for first in a 4-way tie with Dave Anderchuk, Brendan Shanahan, and Jaromir Jagr.
Oh my God.
With 19 20-goal seasons.
Nice.
So, and Ovi has done that. And here's the kicker for that one. Anderchuk played 23 seasons, Shanahan played 21, Jagr played 24, Ovechkin has only played 19. So Ovechkin is 19 for 19 on 20-goal seasons. And 18 for 19 on 30-goal seasons, 13 for 19 and 40-goal seasons, and 9 for 9 for 19 for 50-goal seasons.
So which is the record that you're most anticipating right now?
I am probably more anticipating 895, with the hope of 900 happening this season.
I mean, I think certainly that will get the most publicity for sure. I mean, that's going to be news.
Tickets are going to be crazy expensive too.
As you get close to that.
Yeah,
that doesn't affect you though, right?
No. Because I'm in a fixed price.
Yeah,
and I pretty much pay.
Obviously, I'll and quite frankly, Gretzky, I'm sure he's had it so long.
Oh no, Wayne has openly said that when OV gets closer, he's going to pretty much go to every single game, like the way Gordie Howe did for him when he passed Gordie Howe with 802.
There's got to be part of this thing. It's about frickin' time, right? You know what I mean? Because it's and there's something great about breaking. I mean, I don't know. Did you get sick of having every record in the book? Do you get sick of that?
And here's the funny thing. 2 seasons ago, we were given these Alex Ovechkin goal counter bobbleheads that says like the Great Chase, and this was actually given out to all of us the day they honored Ovechkin for scoring 802 to surpass Gordie Howe for second place.
My thought too. You talked about like real retro. I'd love to see him score that on a slap shot. Wouldn't that be
Hey,
great?
on the one timer slap shot on the power play, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the funny thing is, Ovi openly said he did not want to get 802 on an empty net, and
yeah,
and Evgeny Kuznetsov passed it off to him
yeah, yeah.
because Kuzi knew Ovi was on the ice, and if he did the empty netter, the entire arena was going to boo him out of the place.
Oh, say again. So you're
So
saying,
so Kuznetsov, right? He
yeah,
had the
yeah.
puck and he had the empty net, but he passed it to Ovechkin, and that ended up being 802.
Oh,
And
he did throw it in the empty net.
no, Ovechkin scored 802 on the empty net,
Okay.
but Kuznetsov was the one who had the puck
Yeah.
initially, and
Yes.
Kuzi said after the game, if I was the one to score the empty netter, everyone would have booed me out of the arena.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
No, but
because Ovi was on the ice.
yeah,
So
but do you want to score that on an empty net? I don't know. I mean, there's
yeah,
too
well,
much.
that's the thing. Ovi didn't want to score 802 on an empty net, and and we all know he doesn't want to have 894, 895
Oh,
being
yeah,
empty
yeah. No,
netters.
I think like a bruising slap shot, one timer. I mean, I would love that if it was just a
How
class.
great would it be? Remember the goal when he fell on his back against the Coyotes and he just like wheeled it in? How
Yeah,
great would it be if 895 was a
yeah,
replication of that?
yeah, yeah.
That
There
would
you
be
go.
funny.
Yeah, yeah.
But those are the two reasons why I became a season ticket holder.
Yeah,
The
that's
first reason is the 50th anniversary. Second
yeah,
reason
of
is
course.
Ovechkin goal chase. You want to be there, and having a fixed price as a season ticket holder um, helps make it affordable because, like, as the
Yeah.
games get close, as he gets closer to the game, the prices of tickets get much more expensive.
One thing I was thinking the other day is having the OV watch because I think outside I would say the hockey world probably will be primarily focused on that. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I hope the Capitals, for your sake, I hope they do well. I mean, they're kind of in that weird no man's land, so you don't know. And but the nice thing is, I think it allows the team to just do its thing because everybody will be focused on OV. Do
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
yeah, and not only that, but the other thing about it is that Ovi cares more about the cup than he does about the goal record. But
Hmm.
we all know he's going to get it because the team is going to make sure he gets it and try to also make a run for the cup, which is a big
Here, this year.
reason why. Well,
Is that this year?
keep in mind, Ovi Ovi's entering the second to last year of his contract because the 25-26 year is the last year of his contract.
Yeah.
So another thing that I want to see is Ovi get the record this season because we kind of know the 25-26 season will be his last. And that way this up the 25-26 season can be more the swan
Oh, you know
song
what? So I just
farewell tour for
I don't have
Ovechkin. So
my
so,
video.
yeah, your video dropped, but it's okay, Um,
I'll come back. I'll be
yeah,
back.
we just admire the picture of
Yeah,
Turu,
that's right.
but that's the other thing. It's because next season would be the swan song season for Ovechkin, and then the reason for the third year
Yeah.
would be
Oh,
because
I should have come back like totally like with the whole makeover.
but then the third year of the season ticket plan that I'm planning on doing is because if Ovechkin does retire from the NHL after his contract is up, that's when they should retire his number to the rafters, and you want to have a ticket to that game.
So are they gonna? What do you think? I mean, honestly, do they have a shot to get another more cup before he hangs it up?
I
What do you?
think with the changes that they've done, the overhaul, like if Dubois plays to the potential that he
Yeah,
can,
yeah,
Mangiapane plays as a top six forward and can really fill that role of EJ Oshie, Radish, and Duhaime, really bringing identity to that fourth line with Nick Dowd, Chikrin,
yep,
who's in the
yep.
last year of his contract, really brings the offense that they've always said that he's had, and that game that he's always had, because it wasn't there last season in Ottawa, and that was just another case of it just something just didn't really work out there. And
Yeah.
then Matt Roy, he's more defensive, but he's going to bring the offense as well. Are all these guys going to click? What's going to happen between the pipes with Lindgren and Thompson? So there's definitely a lot of what ifs, but I feel confident that, this is a team that has better potential of making the playoffs than the New York Islanders, because if you look at that New York Islanders roster, that is a team that is slow, old, and there's contracts that you can't get rid of, and Lou Lamoriello has clearly shown that he does not understand today's game.
Right.
And whereas with Brian McClellan and now the new general manager, Chris Patrick, they understand today's game, and they've made the changes to make things better for Ovechkin. And and they give him that opportunity for one World Cup.
That'd be nice. That'd be a story. That'd be a story.
But and we're going to chronicle it all season long on this podcast. So real quick, we're going to talk a couple of notes. As I mentioned earlier, when we're talking about the Oilers, former Toronto Maple Leafs and Edmonton Oilers goalie and current Detroit Red Wings goalie, Jack Campbell. It was announced by the National Hockey Players Association, or National Hockey League Players Association, and the National Hockey League, that Campbell has entered the NHLPA Player Assistance Program. He will be unavailable to the Red Wings for an indefinite period while he receives care in the program. We do not know the reasons why. It is up to the players after they leave it to discuss why they're in there. So obviously, we just want to send our best wishes to Jack Campbell, and that whatever he's dealing with, he is getting the help that he needs, and that it helps him with what he's doing. And then on top of that, New Jersey Devils and the Buffalo Sabres have officially kicked off the season today. Like I said, we're recording this on Friday, October 4th. The Buffalo Sabres and the Devils, they kickstarted the season in Prague, Czechia at the O2 Arena for the NHL Global Series. And in today's first game, which was at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And I have to note that because, Toro, you're over in Pasadena, California.
Or actually in
LA. I mean, Pasadena, LA, they're pretty close.
Oh, they're all the same. Yeah,
they're all the same. Whereas I'm here in Maryland, right outside Washington, D.C. on the East Coast. So in this game, the Devils would beat the Sabres 4-1. The next game will be tomorrow, October 5th, which will be at 10 a.m. Eastern here on the East Coast at 7 in the morning over on the West Coast Pacific time. And that will be on NHL Network for anyone who wants to watch that game tomorrow morning. So, got to ask, how weird is it a little bit that the regular season has technically officially started, but yet there's still preseason games?
Yeah, I think that is kind of strange. I mean, I guess it's marketing. I mean, it's strange too that the games are kind of hard to track down too, so it's very bizarre. Like, it's a game, we know the season started, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like there's some obscure,
it doesn't officially start until the 8th.
So maybe, but I guess these games count, right? So they're
the Buffalo Devils games, those games count. It's just all the other games happening until right now don't count, but October 8th the season officially starts.
And there's something to it. I mean, I think it's nice. I thought that the cool especially Czechoslovakia with the Jaromír Jágr, the face off.
Jágr coming out doing the face off drop. So no, it's really cool. And then obviously we're gonna have
How old is he now?
He's 52.
Dude. And is he retiring? You think he's gonna actually? Is that real?
Okay. That real? Oh God.
That's a whole other podcast.
So we're going to keep it short because for those of you who don't know, we record on Zoom. I don't have a paid account. We only get 40 minutes, and I got that notification again saying that, you're coming up on time.
Okay,
but here's the thing. Jágr said this will be his last season, but I just saw an interview that he did with Darren Rosen of NHL.com saying he's not sure if this is actually going to be his last season.
I don't think.
Come on, Jágr, we want you in the Hall of Fame already, bro.
I think we have not seen the last of him. But anyway,
it was nice. So
great game though, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a good game. Jacob Markstrom stole the show. 30 saves on 31 shots.
You see that crazy save right there?
Oh yeah. like where you reach back, yeah, and like, and I feel bad because I only have one Buffalo Sabre on my fantasy team that I drafted yesterday, which is Luukkonen, the goalie.
Yeah.
And the guy who I'm playing against has Heathshire, Jack Hughes, another Devil, and one of the Sabres, and so he's killing me in fantasy hockey right now, and it's only been one game.
That's right.
So,
Funny.
hey, the North may remember, but the Apostles of Rufus always find a way.
Yes.
So, I am the defending champions in the league I'm playing it that I'm doing fantasy in. But
nice.
Yeah, but yeah, dude, it's great, but like I don't think it's really going to sink in for us until next week when.
No, I don't think so. I mean, for me, yeah,
it really doesn't sink in sometimes until the Stanley Cup banner gets put up by the Panthers.
Well, and also you and I actually have preseason. I mean, really, I don't know about you, but the focus is probably on our teams, and they have preseason games ahead. So
yeah,
it is.
The Capitals have their last one literally tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Against the Boston Bruins, and then I just saw the lineup for that, and they're pretty much playing all the regulars. All of the regulars are playing in that game. Jacob Vrana, who's on a PTO, is not going to be in the lineup. I forget. There's one other guy that wasn't going to be in the lineup, so they have to prove on Monday or by Monday that they're worthy of being kept, or like in Vrana's case, being kept in general or be released from the PTO. And for the other guy, are we going to send you to Hershey or to your junior team? I don't remember the player off the top of my head. It was like a brief glance. So
nice.
But yeah.
Hey.
Oh man. So we have done now what is called the hat trick of Zoom sessions to record this podcast. And so we had to get our hockey reference of a hat trick in there.
Yes.
But now. And here's the funny thing about this segment we're about to do, everybody. So obviously we talked Oilers, we talked Capitals, and stuff like that. So while we were trying to plan this podcast, we're like, obviously you got to think of segments and stuff like that, make it interesting for everybody. And there are a few other people we're talking to. We're going to eventually try to get them on the show. And Tohoru and I were chatting via text message, and he goes, "Oh man, we got to do something like Power Ranger or Power Play or something like that." And I just go, bingo, it's the Power Ranger Power Play.
Yes.
And the way this segment is going to work is this. The Power Ranger Power Play is where the actor guest host, in this case it's Tohoru, gets to decide what we talk about in this final segment of the show before we go out. And so with that, Tohoru, the stage is yours, good sir.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't realize I had this much responsibility. Wow, what are we going to talk about? Well, I guess, why not? Why not? Just because the guys would kill me if I didn't bring it up. When the way, just to give it a little background, the way Mike and I met was at actually this con that was over in Pasadena, from MorphCon.
Major Power
and the cool thing about Major, yeah, it was great. I loved it. And I'm actually digging more deeper into the crossover, because I had a sense of it. I didn't realize how deep the crossover was with makes sense too. And I was thinking they're always like scheduled back to back, and I just felt right at home at that thing. I was amazed. But anyway, it was over in Pasadena Convention Center, which is right by the Pasadena ice rink where I play beer league hockey every Sunday. And I actually did go skating one of the nights afterwards. I was exhausted, but I said, you know what, I gotta, and I brought my skates and I just threw them on. I was exhausted. I had no business being on the ice.
You should have told me. I would have joined you.
I know.
I'd have to rent skates though, but I would have joined you.
yeah. I probably should. I just thought at the end of the day, says I can, they're paying for parking, and I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go skate. So anyway, and it's funny too because that night I think the playoffs were that weekend too, and I was going to and called up. This is a long. I didn't play enough games that last season to qualify. Blah blah blah. Anyway, I was calling up saying, "All right, yeah, when is the game? Because if we're at the 10:30 game, I can totally make that." Blah blah. And they were mentioning the teams, and our team was not mentioned. And so I said, "All right, I guess that's not happening." But anyway, that it was kind of funny. So that's when I brought you up, and I think you're wearing those cool jerseys, right?
Yeah. So the Saturday of Power Morphicon, I wore the Power Rangers 30th anniversary jersey. And then on the Sunday, I wore the Goldar jersey, both of which are hockey jerseys made by Geeky Jerseys.
Yeah, I want to talk to you later about work. I mean, I think I was talking to my beer league team. They're saying, I was thinking, how about a Power Rangers alternate jersey, for the team? But
I mean, you were Shredder. You could always do a Shredder alternate jersey.
That's true. That's true. Well, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I'm just a role player on the team, so I don't think I can quite command that yet. But yeah. So I've been playing with these guys for a while, and just it's funny. We're talking about the Utah Hockey Club, right? The weird placeholder names, right? Well, our placeholder name. This is how I kind of end up with these guys. This is years ago. I've been playing with these guys for years. It's a blast. I would say that at the end of the night, no matter how crappy I played, or how crappy our team played, or how well, I always feel like myself at the end of the night. So it's like, and you know what it's like. I don't know, like just throw on your gear a Sunday night after you've just gone through a whole weekend. You just don't feel like it sometimes. But then, yeah, at the end of it, it's like, man, this
was worth it.
Yeah, totally. And as I was saying, I always feel like myself again. And so, especially Hollywood, like that will do a number to your, I mean, I love it, but it does a number to your head. And all of a sudden, no, this is.
And it's interesting because you mentioned like the Hollywood and you're doing the movies, the TV shows, all that stuff. And yeah, it kind of gets in your head a little bit like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then you have hockey, the beer league, and you're like maybe like a third, fourth line grinder. And and it knocks you down a peg a little bit. There, maybe I'm not that important after all because
I literally get knocked down that night on a regular basis. But one thing that I thought was, but anyway, the story of the name is the way it happened is I think I was just, I can't remember. I was just playing stick time or whatever, Pasadena, blah blah, and someone said, "Oh, you're going to draft skate tonight?" I goes, "What is that?" I goes, "Well, that's where they pick out new players." And goes, "Well, I'm not going to play league. That's too much of a commitment, right?" And he goes, "Well, if you don't show up tonight, you don't even have a shot." You know what I mean? Like if I don't go, I can't. And I'm thinking, well, and I'm one of these people that I like to always leave the door open. I like so I show up and I played okay. And I think I scored a hole. I think I hit a crossbar, which always is kind of cool, right? I mean, there's something almost cooler about that sometimes. You hear that cling, And anyway, and then I go home. I don't hear anything. And I mean, after slugging through Hollywood, okay, even now, I mean, I've gotten so used to rejection in my life. All right, even the frickin' beer league has not called me back, And then finally, out of the blue, so and like I do with a lot of my roles, the second I give up on it, that's when I get the phone call. I swear, it's this very bizarre pattern. And the director of the thing is, hey, can you play? And he's trying to throw a team together because they need to fill this one slot, and it was all last minute, clearly on the Rinks part, right? And they said, and for now, your name is TBD for now. TBD. It's on the schedule as TBD. Like that's what it was on. We need to fill this slot for the team. We put a great team together, and I'm maybe one of the 3 original people. Great, really fantastic guys. I love playing with them, so someone threw bombers on there, and we had this little bomber logo. So
for people who are, we just lost the camera for Tohoru again already. But for those who are watching on YouTube, you can obviously see the jersey that he's wearing. But for those who are listening to the episode, it is essentially kind of like a New Jersey Devils jersey, where it's the black shoulders and the red with the sleeves with the white. But it's a big circle. It looks like the bomber from Mario. And it says TBD Bombers on top, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty solid.
Yeah. So it's a cool. It's great. I always love it. We've won 3 championships. We've had good years this year. We had our season opener last week, and I think it's good. But we didn't make the playoffs last time, so I don't know. We'll see. But
It's those ebbs and flows.
ebbs and flows, and it looked good. The first game, one of those games where we won, but it was like it looks good. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like this doesn't look like a flaky team that's going to be like, you know what I mean? It looks obviously it's early, right? So people, people are rusty or whatever, but it kind of looked all right. Maybe this is a good year. So, but we've won three the championships before, so that's fun. And we're gonna play in the crypto, LA's.
Oh, you mean Staples Center?
Yeah, the former Staples Centers now.
No, it's still Staples Center.
It is Staples. Yeah, I know. I can't get used to it either. We call it the Crypt. That's what I figure. That sounds a little cooler. And
actually, that does sound a little cooler.
and we we go together and you just watch it together as a group, as a team. And after they clear out the ice, and you got it at midnight to 1 in the morning, and it's so much fun. I can't tell you. It's great.
It's funny because like I do, I played ice hockey for 12 years.
Yeah.
I played from September 92 to December of 2000.
And you were like good. You were like serious.
I was decent. I wasn't it's funny. And I was explaining this to somebody recently because I run my own adult ball hockey program on Monday nights in North Potomac, Maryland. And the interesting thing is that like when I play ball hockey, I'm like a first, second line point producer. But in ice hockey, I am like a third, fourth line grinder. I'm not as gifted. And like, yeah, there's different physics to the game with a puck and a ball and, all that other stuff. And, it's always interesting because I explained it to them. It's like, yeah, it's like when I played ice, it was this. Plus the other thing is it's like, okay, now I'm 5'11". I'm 160. I teeter between 155 and 165. It depends on, where I'm at with hockey at the time. Like right now I'm just playing pickup and having fun and running my program. So, I could be in that 155, 160, but next year when I'm getting ready to go to Canada, the Brantford, Ontario, Canada for the Walter Gretzky Street Hockey Tournament.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to bulk up a little bit and get back up to 165 because it's like when you're playing like 3 to 6 hockey games in a 24-hour span, you need to be, a little bulked up there a little bit.
Absolutely. Sorry about my camera going on and off. It's just it's probably doing something.
It's going, man. I have to keep looking at this ugly guy named Mike. It's okay.
That's right.
But so it's like it's interesting because it's like when you look at it from that perspective, you gotta because I've looked at trying to get back into ice hockey. It's just the times is always tough. Ice time is always harder when you're an adult compared to when you were a kid. Well, I think I may only play during summer because during summer the times are a little bit better. So I'm talking to this one league near me in Rockville, Maryland. Of like, can I play in the summertime? But I'm not going to play during the primary hockey season because, well, one, I'm a season ticket holder to Caps, and that's a little bit more important to me.
Right.
But then at the same time, I'd rather play at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night on a given night than at 11 o'clock at night. Because if I have that adrenaline kicking in me, I'm not going to go to bed.
Oh, dude.
If I have to be up at 5:20 in the morning, like my time, which is like 2:20 in the morning your time, for work, dude, that's going to be a brutal day of work for me.
A 10:30 game, and I can almost be ready to go to bed before the game, sitting in the parking lot. And but once I'm there, I mean, I am not going to be in bed before 3. And, I'll come back, it's like football season, right? I'm a Pats fan, so I'm not as excited about it. Thank God hockey season's here. That's all I can say. But
the real sport is here.
Yeah, but I'd go back. I'd have some game DVR'd. I'd swear I'd come home. You know that feeling, right? It's after game, and you come home, and then you have whatever, and I stop and grab a little food just to re-energize, and then I put on the DVR. I put on the game. And I find myself like 2, 3 in the morning rewinding on actually doing my own replay thinking, of course they're going to show it, but you want to see it the live replay. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You want to see it happen in your time. I'm thinking, what kind? I mean, this is ridiculous. It is like 2-3 in the morning, and I am actually like not, anyway. So I'll watch an entire game.
So I got to ask this question for you.
Yeah.
After a game, what is your go-to post-game meal?
Del Taco. Del Taco. Yeah. I got to say, it was something that I think I picked up from the rest of the team. I don't know why. There's some Del Taco thing, and somehow they got those drive-throughs. And there's one on the way home. It's all the decision I make. I go home. I'm going down the 134, and there's this thing called Central versus just taking the 5 straight home.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but yes.
But it's okay. But basically, I can just go straight home by the freeway, or I can take this stride street that will make a beeline. That name, Del Taco, will be on the way home, and I kind of do that just in case, and inevitably I will like pull in and I see the drive-through. So that's my go-to meal, Del Taco.
So for me, it depends. It depends on the time of the day and stuff like that. So lately, after ball hockey, my buddy Matt Greenhut, or as I call him, Greeny, him and I, we will occasionally hit up Cafe Rio afterwards, and I usually always get a chicken salad.
This is the place in DC?
Yeah, this is a place in my area. It's called Cafe Rio.
Nice.
It's a Mexican place. And so we'll hit that up. Sometimes I hit up Quickway Hibachi and, get a chicken and shrimp hibachi.
That sounds serious, right? Because I should do something
but that's what we've been doing for Mondays. But like when I was playing more competitively, if it's a day game, I get Chipotle. If it's a night game, I get Taco Bell.
Yeah, we don't have many choices after 11. The choices go down considerably.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. It's like if it's a night game, it's Taco Bell. But Taco Bell is great because sometimes, like kind of like what you're saying, like you're watching. Like me, I'll turn on like Adult Swim.
Yeah.
Or I'll put on FXXX for like the adult cartoons and stuff like that, like Futurama and stuff like that. I'll just put that on, eat the Taco Bell real quick, and then try to go to bed as quickly as possible because
it's hard. I mean, but I kind of figure, as I was saying, I think it just resets me. And you know what? It's fun, man. It's like every so often you have a really good night, right? I mean, every so often you're actually playing well. You know that thing when all the people in the locker room all notice? Yeah. It's kind of weird. So those are nice when you really, also even little things. What I really like is even the little things that, like, if you're the third assist, but you started the play, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you didn't get on the score sheet, but you're the guy who created the play.
That created the play, and just little things like that, and then you see a score at the end, or whatever, and it. So sometimes I sort of feel like, I mean, I'd love, don't get me wrong, I'd love to be scoring goals left and right, but I got to say, just actually being on a team and helping them win a game, that's, I don't think there's any better feeling, quite frankly. So it's pretty cool stuff. But anyway, that's the thing. So throughout the season, you will be getting updates on the TBD Bombers, season.
Yes.
And our quest for the cup.
We are excited for it. I think that'll be the Power Ranger power play every time you come on. It's like, so how's the TBD Bombers doing?
Yeah, well, I'll show you the picture of me with our little mini Pasadena,
Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I got to ask one last question, then we'll go into our outros.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you've been out in LA for a while.
Yeah.
Were you ever able to see a Kings game at the Forum? And then of Crypto.com Arena and Honda Center, which arena do you think is better for watching a game at?
Well, I got to say, and I guess, and I will call.
And I saw you shaking your head no to the Forum question.
Yeah, I didn't, unfortunately, sadly. I mean, it took me for a while to really get into LA culture. I was just like trying to go to auditions, and I don't know. I wasted a lot of great eras in LA just trying to get acting work. But and I'll call it staples for the purpose of this conversation. because I love that place. It's called Crypto now, but I still love it because it was Staples. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think it's great. I mean, I don't know about the other places, but I know the ice is, there's something really special about it. One thing I will say is very funny, which I always notice, is the boards are a lot higher than they are Pasadena. Like just trying to do a line change is like, it's like I'm the guy that will like have the door open, during the line change, So it's but it's just I think it's a wonderful place. I wish I had experience with the other places, then I'd be able to tell you. But I know, and I'll call it Staples because I love Staples, the old Staples. But I don't, I look up and I say, oh, okay, Crypto's fine, So but yeah. So how's that for an answer?
That's fair enough.
Staples,
and I'll throw this out there for you too. I know in January I'm going up to Toronto.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go see Sum 41 play, and actually the night before I'm actually going to go see the Toronto Maple Leafs host the
nice.
Wild. So I'm actually going to get to go to a game in Scotiabank Arena, and it'll also be my first game out of the United States of America. Because one thing I am working on doing is going to a game at every NHL arena. Sorry, Mullet Arena, you don't count anymore. Which is where the Coyotes played the last couple seasons. So obviously on the bucket list is getting out to Staples and Honda Center for a game. So we'll have to work something out. We'll have to maybe do the pod live out there.
And actually, I was talking to the captain of our team, and I was telling him about this podcast. He's really psyched about that, and he was saying, "Well, if you're ever out here, you can do it from one of the games. You can be like in the." On the side, like we'll do a podcast.
Oh, we'll record the game and do play-by-play and commentary.
And then we'll set you up however you want to, whatever, and then we come by, and then in between in between shifts, we can do a little thing. So anyway,
we'll find something goofy that we can do. I mean, I got my ice hockey helmets and everything. We'll just have to pack it in the bag or something. So
well, and then you can hop on, because you can come in.
The only thing I probably won't have with me is my full ice hockey gear bag with me, just simply because that would be really expensive on my end to get that out there to you.
We'll throw some together for you. Yeah. There's a really an amazing lost and found there. So we'll
okay, fine. So what you're saying is pack the skates and the helmet and the cup, and then you guys will cover everything.
We'll take care of the rest, and we'll set you up with one nice video and audio from the side, and it's all good stuff. But I'd love to see you out here again. So
I definitely can't wait to get back out there. If I can if I don't have to wait 2 years, that would be great, because obviously 2026 is the next Power Morphicon. So obviously that's already circled on the calendar for the end of August of that year. I would love to get back out there and hang out with you, chat hockey. Obviously, we'll still be doing the podcast. You'll be back on, I believe, in about 3 weeks. So everyone, you'll see Turo in 3 weeks. Don't worry, this ain't the last to see of him.
Amanda's sick of me already.
But yeah. So with that, it's time to wrap up. So Turo, where can everyone find you on social media, and what projects do you have coming out soon that you're allowed to talk about? That's the key word there. You're allowed to talk about.
Yeah, I so funny. Like, it's such a crazy thing now, because I am working on a I think I'm allowed to say AAA mocap project under MDA. So I am working on that, but I don't know when that thing's going to come out. It's kind of weird. That's kind of the main thing I'm working on right now, and I guess I can't really talk about it.
All right, that's fair enough. So where can everyone find you on social media?
But you can find me on social media at just full name at Tohoru Masamune at Instagram.
All right,
or whatever, not at Instagram, but on Instagram it's at Tohoru Masamune.
Yeah. And then, of course, for me, everyone, you can find me on Twitter at the Lindenbaum75, Facebook at facebook.com/X75Productions. Instagram is also at the Lindenbaum75. I changed things up on purpose. And I think actually all my social media for my personal stuff is at the Lindenbaum 75 now at this point.
Nice.
Got to keep the brand the same. And then, of course, obviously, this is under the TXHT umbrella. So go to txhthockey.com. That's where you'll be able to find the podcast. And then also, you will see all the other work that I do. I have my Capitals preview coming out on October 11th. I have the first chapter of So Close, the story of the 1997-98 Washington Capitals, which is a labor of love project for me that I've been working on for over a decade, and it's finally seeing the light of day. I originally wanted to be a film project, but I'm going to have to settle with blog series instead. That comes out on Monday, October 7th. So go to txhthockey.com for that. And of course, social media at txht_hockey on all of social media. And obviously, this is brought to you by coolhockey.com. Go to coolhockey.com/txht to go get your official licensed NHL jerseys. I get all my jerseys from them all the time. Actually, as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to start showing Turo some jerseys that I got, and he's going to be kind of jealous of a couple of them. They do great quality. It comes out straight out of Toronto, Canada. So coolhockey.com/txht. Go check them out or click the link below here on txhthockey.com's website. And of course, if you're listening to this as an audio version, we would like to thank Johnny Young Bosch and his former band I Shine for the song Modern Guns that played at the beginning of the episode. For those of you on YouTube, we did not come out to music because I don't want to get copyright striked on the first episode. We are working on it. Give us some time. We will have an intro song in the future. But for audio, we do want to thank Johnny Young Bosch for the song Modern Guns. So with that, Toro, this was a fun conversation that
It
we
was.
had.
It was fun. Yeah.
And
the season's just begun.
yeah, it literally has just begun, but it
Really.
doesn't feel like it has.
It doesn't. Yeah, our season hasn't quite.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and I was going to say too, I'm kind of these days. I've been kind of hitting the convention circuit, so just look at my Instagram, and I'll keep you updated on that. If you ever, hopefully, I'll be passing through your town.
Yes.
So yeah,
totally worth it. Go meet this guy. He's awesome. As I point the wrong direction with cameras, I got to do it that way. Yeah, it's like. So with that, I'm going to end it the way I used to end the TXHT podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this has been the Morphinominal Hockey Show. And until next time, we will see you at the rink.